everyone. Welcome back to Paperwork Intel, where we make forms and applications easy on everyone. Raheem on the mic, and I'm your host. Now just stand up. Okay now. In this episode, we'll be addressing an email question that has to do with credit. I was able to clarify that the misunderstanding with her landlord is monetary. Now, considering how the pandemic has been affecting people's lives, it's no surprise that many tenant-landlord relationships are suffering. What I'd like to do is present you guys with some scenarios where a landlord can mess with your credit, and also what you can do about it, at least here in Canada. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how information goes from your landlord to your credit report, what you can do to challenge that information or expand on it. Let's dive in. We'll set the stage by acknowledging the two main credit reporting agencies, Equifax and TransUnion. Let's look at a typical flow of information into your credit file. In between you and your credit report is your creditor. When I say creditors, I mean legal business entities that are allowed to grant credit as a financial instrument, like your bank, your credit card companies, retail stores, to mention a few. Okay then, the creditor grants you a credit line. You then use the credit line to make or finance purchases, after which you'll have to make payments to the creditor respecting the terms of your agreement. The creditor then reports your behavior to the credit reporting agencies. So, creditors have a path to get to your credit report, letting the world know how you behave when it comes to credit. Now, let's look at how your landlord fits into the picture. Even though tenants pay rent on a monthly basis, landlords don't have a direct path to report to your credit file. They have to go through another legal entity, and the common choice is a licensed collections agency. But before a landlord can pass the money you owe to a collections agency, there's a whole legal process that needs to happen first. The landlord must go to court to get a judgment that can be enforced on you to pay the money owing. After your landlord gets a judgment, like my brethren would say, it's a serious thing, you know. They can now employ the services of a collections agency that will report to your credit file. This is one way, and probably the most common way, a landlord can mess with your credit report. Let's look at another scenario. We already established that landlords don't have a direct path to report to your credit file. Well, there's a new player in the game that does, the Landlord Credit Bureau. And you may have guessed it from the name. They represent landlords. The LCB is advocating that paying your monthly rent is a credit behavior that should be recorded on your credit report, just like your credit card or your car payment. I get where they're coming from and the pros of doing this, but I think in real life scenarios, it may not be an adequate measure of how a person will behave towards credit. When there's a change that affects finances, most people will pay rent or mortgage before paying any of the bills. So, as a creditor looking at a report that says this person never misses rent, it doesn't mean that behavior will carry forward to other debts, like a credit card, for example. A landlord that signs up with the LCB will send monthly reports on the tenant. The Landlord Credit Bureau will then push that information to the tenant's credit file. As of today, the Landlord Credit Bureau only reports to Equifax, but as more landlords get on board with them, it's only a matter of time before they buddy up with TransUnion. So, going back to our initial question, this is another way a landlord can mess with your credit. The good news is, as much as you're legally entitled to rectify any information on your credit report that's incorrect, you can also challenge or explain an event that's been reported to your file. To correct or challenge any information on your credit file, Equifax lets you do it online and by mail. TransUnion lets you do it online, over the phone, and by mail. Let's take a peek at the Equifax dispute process. If you choose to do it by mail, you can fill out this form, print it, and mail it in, together with the other required documents. If you choose to do it online, you have to initiate the process by submitting this form, after which they'll send a ticket number to your email with a link that takes you to a document you can fill, sign, and submit online. Now, let's check out the online process with TransUnion. They have a 3-step process to verify who you are before you can access the online dispute platform. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get past step 1 because of the bogus information I put in for the purpose of making this video. But here's a quick look at the mail-in form so you have an idea of the information required. Just because you submit a dispute does not mean the record will be stricken from your report. Submitting your dispute more or less means you're making a request for something to be looked into. An investigation will ensue, and if the record can be verified, then it stays. If for whatever reason Equifax or TransUnion cannot verify the information with the company that made it, then amigo, buy yourself a lotto ticket. It's your lucky day. They'll have no choice but to strike it off your file. So at this stage, we can assume your landlord has gone through the proper reporting channels, but you still feel the result is unfair to you. Well, it's not game over. There's one more card you can play. You can add what's known as a consumer statement to a report on your file, explaining your side of that event. This is huge because in the future, when you apply for credit, a creditor looking at your report will have more information to work with when trying to decide how credit-worthy you are. Both TransUnion and Equifax want you to mail in your statement. They provide the mailing address for English and French correspondence on their websites. This is taken from the TransUnion site. They've put a cap on how long your statement should be, 100 words for every province except Saskatchewan. Equifax, on the other hand, allows you to write a longer statement. Here's an example of the kind of info you can put in your statement. Kudos to Equifax for giving an example that the average person can understand. One more thing I would like to add. I would recommend typing out your statement to avoid any legibility issues. Nobody wants to be declined for credit without a fair shake, so I'm glad this option exists. One last move we the consumer can make. Kudos to you for staying with me this far. We've established that landlords can mess with your credit file, how they go about it, and what you can do to address the situation. Adding a consumer statement to your credit report may not be the resolution you were hoping for, but at least it gives you the opportunity to do some damage control that can in the future influence who grants you credit and at what interest rate. To you guys watching, I appreciate giving me your time. Thank you. If there's something you would like to see me cover on the channel, let me know in the comments or send me an email. If you enjoyed this content and you'd like to give me a high five or a fist bump, 1, you could subscribe to the channel. 2, you can use the coffee link in the description to send the coffee my way. I takes it black, no sugar, no cream, if you know what I mean. Arigato. Your support is always appreciated. Until next time, keep it light, don't complicate your life, smile as often as you can. Deuces.